Hi, welcome to our Thankful Thursdays. Today we have a gratitude share all about our heritage. So, why are you grateful for your heritage and what does that mean to you? That's what we'll be talking about today. I'm Rebecca Odell, and this is my mother, my wonderful co host, Wendy Brimhall. And we are passionate about helping share and spread gratitude and love around the world. And we show up every couple of weeks here on our Thankful Thursdays, and we talk about all of the wonderful topics that bring us joy in life. So, why don't you go ahead and start us off by explaining to us what it is heritage is all about to you?
Well, to me, heritage is anything that we have inherited from others. It could be as simple as inheriting our genetics or our religious beliefs or any kind of beliefs from somebody who's come before. It can be our cultural heritage. You know, are we Jewish? Are we Italian? Are we um, Irish? Suddenly, I can't think of any countries, but you know, where do we hail from? Our traditions that we have been passed down to us through the years. It could be our just our beliefs on how we view the world. It could be our family, what we do as a family. It could be our looks, our genetics, our health. It could be our country that we are in, because you know our ancestors had to choose a country and be a part of a country. So it could be anything that we've inherited from others, and that's to me what heritage means. And I am thankful
Beautiful.
for so many things that have been passed on to me by my ancestors,
Oh,
including,
that's so beautiful.
yeah. So I thought this would be a great topic, and you did too. There's many avenues of discussion. We, of course, had trouble again logging into Facebook. So we're hoping the word gets out to others that you can join us live right now via, of course, you're not hearing this, but we're hoping that some, people will get the wording, will jump in on the Zoom and share with us some of their heritage and their things. Otherwise, you will get to hear all about what we are grateful for our heritage. And maybe that will spur in you some thought as to what you are grateful for your heritage. And I encourage you to maybe journal about this and write down some of these things for your children and your grandchildren so that they can see what you are grateful for the things that have been passed on to you.
Oh, I love that so much. I think that is so important because, we're here in the present moment and it's easy to not send gratitude or not even pay attention to why we even have all these things. I mean, look at our beautiful world, look at our economy, look at how everything has progressed and all of the blessings. We're rich in blessings from our ancestors, and whether that be our character traits like you said, and certain values that we have been that we inherited, or our country, our homes. I think that's really important that we journal that, like you said, and that way the future generations can have the same type of opportunity to know where they come from, know, what their roots were. I
That's
think
right.
I love hearing the stories of my
Yes.
ancestors, and even my parents, just seeing, getting to know people and why they are the way they are and what they've been through. I think there's so much value in sharing our experiences with others.
I think that's one of the passions that we share is
Hmm.
just loving to understand people and where they come from and what makes
Yep.
them them. I love what you said about I didn't include our earth in there, but we certainly inherited our our earth from those who've come before. You know, some have abused our earth and some have taken great care of the earth. And, you know, that's a heritage that we've inherited. And I think also in this conversation, we need to think about, what are we leaving those who come after us? What kind of
Yes.
heritage will we pass on to those people? So that's also something that we can journal. This, to me, this is a subject, as you progress in life, you think more and more about. What heritage are you? What is your legacy you'll be leaving others? And what legacy have you been given?
Right. What will others inherit from you?
Right. So what, just let me ask you, what traits have you inherited from those who've come before? Or, well, or think about it a little bit. What are some of the traits you've inherited from me or your father? And your father is very loosely, you know, there, because you have a biological father and then you have your father. You don't have to, you know, you have inherited some things from dad as well. So, and from your extended family, like your grandparents as well. What are some of those traits that you've noticed you've inherited? I know I've given this some thought, so go ahead and.
Well, I think that is really a good point to start off with, is we not only inherit our genetics through our bloodlines, and whether or not we've ever met our ancestors, you know, maybe our parents died and we were adopted at birth or something, you know, we still inherited certain things from them, whether we know them or not. And then also we've inherited things by the family structures and the society that we grew up in and the people that we were influenced by, right? So I think that's very important. And I think a way to find out if you aren't aware or you don't really know a lot about your bloodline history, what I like to do is I'll meditate about it and find answers, you know, just asking and trusting. And, you know, I think that we have the capability to find out from our body's intuitive wisdom, some of those answers that we seek. It takes practice in training and trusting your intuition and your discernment, and of course connecting to God, and you know, that's the whole thing. But I do feel like we have that ability. And then also, you know, we can go and get blood tests, and you know, maybe we just have these natural talents and gifts we were born with, like, you know, artistry or being a great musician. For me, I'm pretty sure I inherited my creative my creativity from all sides of my family, um, from both sides of my bloodlines, and then also from the family structure I grew up in. Definitely creativity, you know, straight from my mother. You are such a creative inspiration to me. You've taught me some artistic skills. My grandma, my great grandma too, she was an artist. My Grammy, I remember always doing craft projects and scrapbooking. And then my dad, Kirk, he's so creative. He's always creating beautiful things and then bringing them into fruition. And, you know, he's very creative in landscaping and architectural work and design. And he's also very artistic. And so I think we all grew up very creatively, and I definitely inherited that.
Oh, well, yeah, that would.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
that's my Grammy and me.
I thought here I was going to share a photo of Tutu with you. Tutu,
Aw,
Tutu is Rebecca's grandmother.
great grandmother.
Great grandmother. Yes, great grandmother. She's my grandmother, and she was an artist. She was amazing. She helped me just love art as well. And then she passed that on to my father. He loved art, and my mother loved art, and I got my creativity from her, and we just, both of them. And again, creativity just runs in our family. And
Yeah.
and her father is created. And then she got that from her biological line as well. Like she mentioned, the Richards, extremely gifted and talented in art and music and all kinds of creativity on that side as well. She is just bursting with creativity, this young woman you see before you. So yes.
Yeah, and before we move on from that, another thing that I definitely know I inherited is my values. I believe I grew up instilled in a, certain belief system, and the way that I was taught and I was raised really instilled high standards and values of integrity. And I really find that as a gift of mine. I see those values that have been instilled in me since birth. The older I get, the more I recognize and value them myself. So I'm really grateful that I grew up in a family that had high standards, high values, and that I was taught those things. So.
Mm. Oh, that's beautiful. Yes, those same values, see, that you're seeing, were passed on to me by my parents. Let's see if I can find that picture of my parents now. Can you see this? Or do I have to do this? Let's see.
I don't see anything yet.
Okay. These are my parents here. Both of my parents they had high values. My father, I learned loyalty and hard work and duty, and he just was a very honorable man and hardworking man, and he spent his whole life sacrificing for his family. And I appreciate that in him, especially since he never had a father figure. His father was an alcoholic, and his mother divorced him at a young age, and he was a latchkey child growing up, and he just never had that father figure until she married later in life. And then she married my Papa Larry, who was my step grandfather, and he was a nice, kind man. But my father was older, and he was more of a, my father was a teenager, so it was more, they never really had that bond. So my father never had a father figure. So my mother had to kind of teach him how to be a father, because my mother's father was a strong father figure. So she was able to kind of coach my dad on how to be a father and a husband. And so I so respect my dad for being the man that he was, and the high values he kept to without having that background. And then my mother was one of the most passionate people I've ever met. And I think I get my passion from her, her passion for people and for loving and for caring. And see if I can find this other picture.
I love this picture of them. It's beautiful.
Can you see that one?
No.
I think
I see the first one.
I think I have to stop sharing and actually do this. Now can you see it?
Nope.
No. Okay, let's try this.
I remember following Gramps around, and one of my favorite things to do was follow him around because he was always working out in the yard. He was always doing things. Oh, that's so cute.
That was cute, but I want to show the one where she's hugging you. And I don't know where that one is now. Accidentally. Okay. My mother was a very loving, nurturing woman. And, I didn't necessarily inherit that nurturing gene. I had it early in life, but I kind of lost it there in the middle. So it's something even though I don't feel like I naturally inherited, because I tend to more favor my father, who was a little more closed. It's something I wanted to bring up. Even if you didn't inherit something, you can always work to acquire it. And because she modeled that to me, I long to be that. And she was one of the best grandmothers. I just loved how she loved her grandchildren. Both my parents are deceased, by the way. They both died at a fairly, I think, a fairly young age. But well, my dad died a couple of years ago. Maybe he wasn't so young, but my mother was very young. But I loved how she loved people, and I wanted that in my life. And I've been able to, I think, do that with my grandchildren and find that nurturing and that love and that compassion. And it's helped me to be able to acquire that gift from her because she was able to model that to me. So even though I wasn't naturally, I think, born with that genetic trait, it just, because she modeled that to me, I was able to acquire that. So I appreciate that in her. So
I definitely inherited a nurturing quality, probably maybe from my Grammy. But I also remember, snuggling up with Gramps all the time and sitting on his lap.
I know, he was
Even
so
when I was a 20-year-old, so.
So cute in his quiet little way. He loved to hug and kind of pat your shoulder. Oh, there. He was so cute. That's one of the things I think that our ancestors and those who come before, the things they pass on to us can have such a value. My grandparents, I wish I knew how to actually share these things so you could see them. Can you see this?
Yep.
What are you seeing?
Grandpa Martirano on a horse and a tractor.
That's my grandpa Martirano. He came from Italy, and so part of my heritage is Italian. And he was such a proud Italian man. He loved his Italian heritage. I don't know if you can see, he had a little mustache, that Italian little mustache right there. And when he was older, he had to draw it on because there wasn't much hair there anymore. So, but he always made sure he had that mustache on there because he wanted people to know he was Italian.
He drew it on?
He drew it on.
Wow. I didn't know that.
Telling secrets now. But he was such a fun man. I inherited his storytelling gene. I don't think I'm a necessarily good storyteller because I tell too much, but he was a gifted storyteller. And he used to have captive audiences. I mean, at our family reunions, and he had a large family, which I have a picture of that somewhere too. But if I knew how, I wish I could just share. Do you see that?
Grandpa with the dog?
Yes. Oh, maybe that's all I have to do is do this. He loved his animals, and he was a farmer, and he had lots of animals. Oh, maybe I'm just now going through my pictures in that's him and my grandmother Martirano. She was such a strong woman. She could arm wrestle and win any man, even in her 80s. She could win any man she arm wrestled. She was so strong. Such a strong woman. There they are too. That's them too, right there. That's not the pictures I wanted to show you. Okay, so I don't know how to get those on there. That one you can't see though, right? Of a family reunion?
No.
Okay. Well, my mom had a large family with lots of sisters and one brother, like there were 10 in their family. So when we had a family reunion, and each of those families had 6 to 10 children as well. So you'd get that family together and there'd be hundreds of people, by the time they had children and grandchildren of their own. And my grandpa would have them all sitting there, and he would have this captive audience. And he'd always have one of his two of his grandchildren massage his head. See, he had that bald spot, and he said, "Oh, you got to massage that for me." And while we massaged his head, he would tell us stories. And my favorite story of his was, and this is passed down through the generations as well, of all the grandkids, we all know the story about how when he was a little boy, he was in a plane crash with his parents, and his parents died. And how it was over the jungle. So he was raised by gorillas. And the funny thing was, I told you before that my mother would take us to the zoo every week in Phoenix, the Phoenix Zoo. And they had these gorillas. And one of them was named Hazel. She was a very famous gorilla. Every time he would come to Arizona, because he lived in Idaho, we didn't get to see them very often. So he'd come to Arizona and we'd go to the zoo, there would be Hazel. And he would literally cry, tears streaming down his face. Mama, Mama, there's my mama. She's behind bars. And tears would just stream down his face. And he
Aw.
had us believing that that was his mother for years and years and years. That we, as little kids, we thought that was his mother, Hazel, behind the bars. And he would tell us that story, and we would go, sorry, I'm crying now too. Anyway, he was such a gifted storyteller. He loved we loved all of his stories, and he was such a cute storyteller. Anyway, yeah, we just those heritage, those family stories and traditions are so much fun.
I think I believed he was raised by gorillas too when I was little.
I know. Well, he was believable. He would just get the tears rolling, and he had tales of, all his exploits as a little gorilla, running around the jungle. And he was a little Tarzan. It was cute. Anyway, so let's switch topics a little bit here, and let's talk about our let's talk about our patriotic beliefs, our country, how we've inherited our country from our ancestors. Those who, I know we are in the United States, and I know we have people from all over the world who have watched our Thankful Thursdays. So whatever country you're in, I hope you have some gratitude for those who've come before and the heritage that you have as being a citizen of your country. I know that here our country is not perfect, and we may not like the people who are leading our country, or we may like the people who are leading our country at the moment. I, for one, value the freedom, and the principles of freedom that the United States was founded upon, and those who fought and died to preserve the freedoms that I enjoy, and who did that all through the years, who fought and died for those freedom all through the years. And I honor them, and I truly do my best to uphold those values which they fought and died for, which means that I respect everyone's right to believe what they wish to believe. I respect their opinions. I honor and respect their way of life and their traditions. And, as long as they don't infringe on the rights and the values and the traditions of others, as long as they're not taking away from those, to me, they have the right to practice their religious beliefs, to practice their traditions, to practice what they want to do. And to me, that is the principle. Those are the principles that the United States was founded upon. And those are the principles that I uphold, and I love my country. That's what I love about my country. So I'm wondering, what is it you are thankful about your country, the United States? Or do you have anything that you're grateful for?
I do. I'm definitely grateful for the values and the principles that our country is founded on, the freedom that we have to practice, religious beliefs and political beliefs, and basically live our lives in the way that we want, as long as they're not infringing upon the rights of others.
Right.
I agree with you on that. I think that is such a wonderful blessing that we have. And I know that there are a lot of other places in the world that don't have as many freedoms that we have. And I know that there's a lot of people that are still fighting to keep those values and those principles alive and strong here, because there are others who, want to take that away still, because people like power and control. And I think that we see that in all countries. And I highly value the opportunity I have to be a woman and to, have I'm one of those people. I don't like to be boxed in. I don't like to be labeled. I don't like to close myself into a certain way of being. I like the freedom to change my mind. I like the freedom to explore. I like the freedom to be adventurous, and I can do that here.
Right.
So,
And well, and that brings up a good point in the legacy that that we've been given, the heritage and those who fought for women's rights through the years
mhm,
that give you and I that freedom to pursue, whatever uh, we want to pursue. We're
right.
not pigeonholed into a little tiny box of what we have to believe and think and be. We have that right to vote. We have that right to speak
Yeah,
out. We have that right to pursue any employment that we wish to pursue. And I appreciate those women who stand up and speak out um,
I do too.
and do so with dignity and respect and
Yes.
and I want to say grace, that
Yeah,
add that respect and honor to what women are, that those values of what women are and what women can bring to the table, because I think we have a unique perspective that men don't. I also, though, really value men for what they bring to the table too. I think
same here.
I think we are different and we each have different perspectives to bring to the table. And I love it when both uh, are equally valued in their perspectives.
I
So
do too.
but I love that we have that richness that has been given us by those women who fought so hard to bring us those rights in this country and around the world, and those who fought for the rights for other people who have been who've had their rights uh, who haven't had those rights in the past, like other cultures and other ethnicities, who've been kept down in the past. Those
Hmm.
fight for the right of freedom for all.
And
There is
equality.
a rich legacy of of freedom fighters throughout the world, and there's such a great cause out there still. There are people enslaved still in this day. There's a sex trade going on right now where people are truly enslaved, and we're letting it happen. There, if you want to be a freedom fighter, there is still a great cause to fight for freedom in this day where people are truly being enslaved. There's a great enslavery going on in the drug world, where people are being enslaved to drugs. There are still a great need for freedom fighters, even this day. And I really value those people who want to join that fight and fight for those freedoms. So I appreciate those who've gone before and who've fought for the freedoms that we enjoy today.
I
But,
agree 100%. It's a
um,
beautiful thing.
so in the little time that we have left, um, what let's just for a second talk about let's just talk for a moment about our physical things that our legacy.
Physical
What have you inherited physically that you're grateful for from your ancestors?
Hmm.
I think you're a beautiful woman.
Well, I definitely inherited my eyebrows.
Which you hated growing up. You used to cut them off. I say
I
fly
still trim them.
proud. I like those little things that go up. Now, this is interesting. My grandfather, who was my dad's father, that I told you he wasn't in the picture, he was an alcoholic and wasn't in my dad's life much. He had these eyebrows. And then my dad had these eyebrows. I had these eyebrows. I like that. Look, I need a facelift. And then she has these eyebrows. But we're the only four in the whole entire family who have these eyebrows. So I was always really proud of her eyebrows. I thought, wow, that's so cool that it's a 4-generation thing and we're the only ones who have them. Well, as soon as she hit teenage years, I guess people in her classes growing up would tease her about them. So she cut them off. And I was like, why would you cut my eyebrows off? It's the only thing you got from me. I'm this almost 6 foot tall woman, and she's this tiny little 5'2" woman. And it's like, she didn't inherit anything from me. It's like, but you got my eyebrows, and she'd cut them off. So
Well, I just trim them. They still grow. So just for those of you who don't know, um, all our hair grows up on the edge here and this way here. So we get points here that we can twist. You can see it on
I
my
can
mom.
twist them, but
Yep.
mine are really big. I like
Yeah,
them.
you can see
I
hers.
think they lend distinction to my face.
Yes, they're very cute.
They're cute. I've always thought they were cute. Even when I was a kid, I thought they were cute.
But
They were really
my
big
deal,
then.
I have been letting my hair grow more, but I still feel mine in because I cut mine off for so many years. And I trim them and they don't grow in as much as they used to. So I have to fill them in with color.
Well,
But
I
I
don't know
inherited
where.
them.
I think I inherited my height from my mom's side of the family. She's got some fairly tall people there. But my face, I used to think I inherited from my mom, but the older I get, I think I tend to look more like Tutu and my dad. So I don't know. I kind of switch back and forth between the two. So anyway, so it's interesting to me how we kind of switch around. I know I tend to inherit my health from my mom. She died at a very young age, and I know my life expectancy isn't very long from all my health conditions I've inherited. That brings up my last topic of conversation. What happens when we inherit things that, maybe traditions or health issues or values or abuse,
Patterns.
perhaps patterns that are not healthy, that are not good, that we're not grateful for? What, just really quickly, what happens then?
Yeah, we've definitely inherited a lot of wonderful, beautiful
Oh,
things,
beautiful
but we've
things to be
also
grateful
inherited
for.
a lot of things that need healing, need changed. Maybe we don't want to continue passing on to the future
Like my
generations.
dad and his dad. He could have gone the way of his dad and been an abusive alcoholic to us, but he chose not to. He
Right.
chose
So
to
he
he
stopped
chose
that pattern.
he stopped that pattern, right?
Right.
So
So I think that, it's something to think about. There are a lot of things that we can improve on, and what I believe is that we have the ability to heal, and we have the ability to make new choices every day.
it's part of that
And
free will freedom we have.
when we do that, when we choose a new perspective, when we do the work to heal our self-limiting beliefs, like maybe we have a unhealthy pattern that, yeah, of poverty in our family lines, and we want to change that. Um, we Once we do change that and shift that, I believe it does heal the energy of the past and the future. It clears any of that stagnant energy, and it literally it lifts this big burden off of generations of people. I think that we are affected by, well, a lot of the work I do and a lot of the things that I research and I read about, because I do ancestral healing um on people, is we're actually living the dream of our ancestors from the past 7 generations. So what we're seeing now are all of the things from the past 7 generations that have manifested, whether they're healthy or unhealthy. And then that means that we have a choice now to make changes and do things in a different way and really be conscious of the legacy of what the next 7 generations will inherit from us. Do we want them to inherit a fear-based perspective, or do we want them to inherit more unity and love? Do we want them to feel empowered? Do we want to gift them with the tools that they have to continue living in freedom and prosperity? I
Yeah,
think
I look at it like every action we choose to do in life is like dropping a pebble in a pond, and it has
mm,
ripple effects. And those
yes,
ripple effects keep going on, and we might not know how those ripple effects affect other people. Meanwhile, they're dropping their pebbles in ponds and they bounce against each other. And those ripple effects can go on and on and on for years and years and years. We say something hurtful to somebody, we just go on with our lives, but that can stay with them for years and years. And that
that's
might
true.
color the way they think about themselves for the rest of their lives. That one thing
So
that we
true.
said and forgot about, you know, and those ripple effects, those things that we do, I think that one day, especially on the other side, we will remember all those things that we did. They remember everything they said and did. They're going to go, oh my gosh, did I really do that? Oh, I can't believe I hurt that person. Or, oh, you know, to know that what they did is still continuing on and ripple affecting and hurting other people for generations has got to be such a heavy weight. But if we can stop that pattern from continuing, then that would just help them to feel so much better. You know, one of the things I'm most grateful for is my spiritual heritage that has been passed on to me. And I truly believe that we have a savior. He doesn't stop the consequences from happening, which is the ripple effects. He has taken on the pain and the guilt and if we turn to him, he can stop that pattern. He can heal us in these from all of these pains and guilts if we turn to him. I really believe that. And I am so grateful for that cultural heritage of my religious beliefs. There is always hope for the future, and there's
There's a
always goodness, and we can always look to build things up or to tear things down. And if we look to build things up and create a legacy for our future generations that's positive and healthy and good, then we will be, like you said, gifting them this wonderful legacy of joy that will make their lives just so much better. And again, I think if we journal about it and write it down when they read it, that actually reinforces in their mind some of that. They'll say, oh, that's where we got that from. Oh, wow, that's really neat. So they get to know us better.
Yeah, no, I think that it's just really important that we take the time to honor our heritage and really look at those things, like even if they are things that we feel we want to change and we don't want to continue passing on, I think it's still the most powerful thing to do is to still find gratitude in the lessons that they've taught us and
Oh, yes.
honor the path that others have treaded to lay before us all that we experience now. So um really I feel like I can be grateful for a lot of the pain of my past because it's made me who I am today. I've acquired wisdom from those experiences, and in turn I can share that with others who may need my help. And I think we can look at that um rather than feeling upset or shameful or guilty because of some of the unhealthy patterns that our family had passed on, maybe abuse and trauma or something like that. We can still find gratitude in the wisdom that we've gained from those experiences and make a choice to change that moving forward. And so it's very important that we honor where we've come from and who we are today, and like you said, journal it so the people who come after us can understand what they're inheriting and why.
Very good. I love that. Thank you. That's
So thank
great.
you guys for joining us today for our gratitude share all about our heritage. We hope this inspired some, just different ways of thinking for you, and helped you to find gratitude for your heritage. And yeah, join us for our next one in a couple weeks. And
And we will see. Hopefully, we'll get it figured out for Facebook Live then. So, okay. Until then, we'll see you then. Have a great couple of weeks, and have an attitude of gratitude. It really does help your life to be happier.
yes, indeed.